No Kings Canada, the biggest fraud on Donald J. Trump, and absolutely is the war on America. Folks, and this is really in conjunction, it was Angie Wilson who tagged me. There's others who will say, hey, look at Tanya Truth Seeker, Canada, super popular, big conservative. That's a big epic fraud. Donald J. Trump tells us all this. And I'm going to break it down very simply for Americans. This has always been the scam of Canada. It's a scam Canadians embrace. They relish. They try to mimic Americans, but they're not American. And this idea, this customary King Charles III, our king, 1931, UK Parliament gives Canada great powers. Another amendment in 1952, no Canadian ever looks at. They never look at amendments that really matter, but neither here nor there. Prime Minister is King of Canada. The definition of Prime Minister is found entirely incepted in Canada, the only place in the world. Everyone who holds the title Prime Minister worldwide got that from Canada in the 1600s. British Quebec, the preliminary of that under Louis XIII. People don't know that. It's a monarch. It's the Lord First Minister. It was a transfer of powers, of the power of king to this title. And in Canada, that's backed up by Governor General, Lieutenant Governors, who anoint and appoint entirely all courts in Canada at the highest level. So Americans have an independent judicial system, very complex judicial district system, and elections and confirmations happen even in appointments. There's a confirmation process. Not in Canada. Wave of a magic wand. Prime Minister says every province, every territory, imagine President of the United States getting to say every court justice of every state's constitution shall be approved and appointed and anointed by me, and they'll swear an oath to me. Can you imagine? That's entirely all Canadian parties. That's entirely all conservatives in Canada, all liberals in Canada, because they've held those roles since 1867. Two parties going all the way back to the beginning, 1867, 1871. Has not changed a day. More than that, imagine if the President of the United States got to appoint the entire U.S. Senate. Imagine. 102 senators, U.S. President Donald J. Trump, or any president gets to go. They're all my appointments, anointed and appointed by me. By me. That's Canada entirely. And it's way more senators than the USA. More than that. Not only does it supersede USA's 104 senators by 3.5 times, it's also 9 times less the population. 3.5 times 9, 30 times more the bloat of Canada's Senate than the United States. You want to talk big government, big monarchy? That's Canada. That's every conservative and every liberal in Canada. Donald J. Trump knows this full well. He has no love for Pierre Poilievre or any conservative in Canada. and probably even less than the Liberals, but believes he can break Carney because Carney's too far gone. That's what it is. And, I'm sorry with Tanya Truthseeker says technically, but she doesn't speak any of this or any of the fact that all conservatives and all liberals in Canada subscribe to this system. More than that, USA has a Congress. Imagine if President got to create a council of Congress, an override, and he called it the Privy Congress, just in case in the problems that Congress has now, President wanted to override all laws of the United States and all laws at every single one of the 50 state levels. He could make privy councils for all 50 states of the Union and absolutely a privy Congress over the U.S. system. So just in case people wanted to have power or make laws that he or she didn't like, they just strike it down and go through a privy Congress or privy council of all 50 states of the Union. Imagine Democrat or Republican presidencies coming forward with this tremendous power. Now, it's important for everybody to know, especially Americans, Canadians' government is ballooned so badly. It is massive in comparison and scale to yours. Not only at the federal level that I just explained to you, that the Prime Minister has absolute override over every province and every single federal riding. But it's also many times the size of the United States. Your 438, our 3 now, coming on, I think 352 is the latest proposal coming. And again, we're 9 times less than your population. We're over 20 times the scale of your federal Congress. And at the state level, our legislatures of every province and territory is upwards of 50 times the size of all 50 states of the Union. 50 times the size, scope, and scale, with 9 times less the people. Think about that, Americans. With an absolute monarch at the helm called Prime Minister, who has what are called First Lords. These are princes and princesses of the UK design, called premiers. 13 of them, who gain tremendous autocratic powers with a massive blow to government, with authority to appoint, ready for this, 1,000 times more appointed government representatives than the United States of America can do at the state level and the federal level. 9 times less the population. This crown monarchy, constitutional monarchy called Canada, is all political parties. As soon as you're elected and you have your party in power, registered power, you gain massive crown benefits, massive thousands of times more than the USA, appointments, where you and your friends get tremendously rich. It works out to literally 20% of the Canadian wage earners in Canada. 20%. And they're astronomical sums. For example, Mark Carney just appointed 2 bankers to 2 of his central appointed ministries created out of thin air ministries. There's no Congress to come along and say, Mr. President, you don't get to make multi-million-dollar appointments. to key areas of our military, because that's a power of Congress, a separate division of power. Not Canada. Prime Minister gets to do all of that. He is the king. He is the Lord and Master. He is entirely in charge of all of our courts at every provincial, territorial level, and absolutely at the Supreme Court level of Canada. We have what's called King's Court, Prime Minister's Court. These are real laws created in the 1600s in Quebec, adopted by British North America after the 7-Year War. King George's family, you know, Elizabeth's grandfather, the only one to try and end that worldwide in all these perverted creations. If you ever want to see the worst perverted creation in the entire world, everybody, it's Canada. And there is not a political party registered and in power today at any level in Canada that is not completely engulfed in this and is not becoming filthily rich. No King's Canada is the biggest sham fraud. And anyone saying that it's only liberals is trying to manipulate Americans, lie to Americans. And if you just trust the other crown and you allow them to have the title of Prime Minister, King of Canada, everything's going to be different with Canada and USA relations. The answer is no. And I'm sorry, but Tanya Truth Seeker, you stink of a corruption, a systemic corruption and evil. I believe you get your tremendous following because the Canadians love to be lied to. They want to believe in the lie. And that you get your extra platform in the Oxford system because at least you're still selling a tremendous lie that is effectually the largest source of the war on America today. And I am sorry, whether Canadians and Americans know it yet today or not, I can guarantee you in about another year's time, they will start coming around to what's in the corners of the highest academic institutions in America, absolutely part and parcel of the Trump administration, will trickle and roll out to the mainstream American, I predict, within less than a year's time. Less than a year's time. And Americans will want to destroy Canada as it is, and really as they should. And as Donald J. Trump has said in many words, not going into tremendous detail, but Canada's been ripping us off for many, many years. In fact, since the start of the relationship. And it always will be. It will always be what the American forefathers, that generation of American revolutionaries in the War of Independence knew, that you could never trust the Crown, you could never trust Oxford, you could never trust that system, because it's a compulsive lie. Compulsive liars. And always trying to convince you by lying in epic scales that if you just support this side of that equation, that narrative, the lies are going to stop. And I'm sorry, since 1867, over 150 years, and all the 150 years that America lived through, in its 13 colonies, through its war to independence, to its reclamation period after the Revolution, this evil has always been pie in the face on America. It's what drags America down. It's always been a war on America, and it's never going to end. Folks, that's my video. An epic truth. Truth for all Americans that I promise you, Donald J. Trump is fully aware of and fully honest about when he says he doesn't support Pierre Poilievre. He certainly doesn't support Mark Carney, even though that's who he has to have relations with. If you haven't noticed, he smithed Mark Carney every step of the way. And it's easier because it's more in your face. Americans recognize it, and he wants that there. And in time, all Americans in a very short time are going to know the academic absolute truth of Canada that's already been published in both Democrat and Republican high IQ circles. They know, and it's spreading rapidly through the Republicans and Democrats, and even the destruction of the Democrats. You will find conservatives, liberals, NDP, you pick any party you want in Canada. It's in bed with all those Democrat narratives as those American lefties that were the most susceptible, largely from bordering northern states, that were easily manipulated and conned by the lie, the first British-French lie of what Canada is from those two empires, that it really hates America. And yes, there's a transition with Napoleon, an aid to America. I get all that. But remember your time periods when these things were. The 1600s, when American colonies that were the 13 colonies under British North America were making their ordinances. Remember who was deadly against them. France and UK. And absolutely what is Canada now was absolutely instrumental in creating and crafting all those designs to destroy you. God bless everybody. That's my video. Very important share. Thank you, Angie. I thank Benjamin. But this is truth that everybody needs to know and be aware of, especially Americans. Canadians won't accept it, but it's truth. And I promise you, it's in every academic institution of the United States of America in grand detail for all Democrats and Republicans. And it's absolutely a part and parcel of Donald J. Trump and the Trump administration and everything they're doing with Canada and everything you're going to be seeing. He doesn't lie, Trump. He's very honest. It's just how much does he release at any given time strategically to let people absorb. He's very good at it. Very skilled. That's my video. Share. Get it out there. Bye now.